Hi, in this video, we're going to take a quick tour of the Chromebook operating system. To navigate device, you're going to want to use something called the Trackpad. That's the large flat pad in the center of your device, just below your keyboard. To move the pointer or the cursor around, just put one finger on the trackpad and move your finger around, and you should see the mouse on screen move as well. To left click with your trackpad, simply tap anywhere on the touchpad with a single finger, and that will be a left click. Additionally, you can press the very bottom left corner of the trackpad to perform the same function. To do a right click, you can take two fingers and tap anywhere on the trackpad. Please make sure there's a slight bit of space between your two fingers so the trackpad can pick up that there's two separate fingers, but just two finger tap, and that will do a right click. To scroll up and down a web page, you can use two fingers, and if you move two fingers up, that should scroll up, and if you slide those two fingers down, that should scroll down. Additionally, here's a couple other tips and tricks for using your trackpad. To drag and drop certain items that might be necessary, you can use one finger, press and hold the item you want to move, and move your finger around on the trackpad, and that should drag the item to its new spot. And just lift your finger up when you're done. Please note that this does take a little bit of practice to get this down correctly. And then finally, if you want to move backwards and forwards between pages you're working on in something like Google Chrome or different applications, you can swipe left with two fingers or swipe right with two fingers, and that will move you backwards and forwards on a web page. There are several different Chromebook varieties floating around the district. Some of them are Windows devices that have been converted to Chromebook, and some of them are full-fledged Chromebooks. In terms of functionality, the devices are exactly the same. However, depending on the version that you got, your keyboard might look a little bit different than the typical Windows keyboard that you're used to. This slide here highlights a couple of the key differences. So that very top row of keys on a Windows computer are normally function keys, such as F5. However, on your Chromebook, you'll notice that they have different icons, meaning that they do different things. You've got a backwards arrow and a forwards arrow that will let you move backwards and forwards on a website. The little circular arrow will let you refresh. The larger and smaller circles will let you adjust the brightness of your computer, and the different volume keys shown there will allow you to adjust the volume of the computer. At the very end of the top row there, you will have the power button. That is how you turn on and off your Chromebook. There are no power buttons on the side if the power button is on your keyboard. Please note that the power button will be located in different locations depending on the device you received, and just look for that little power icon to know which button is the power button. The other main difference between the Chromebook keyboard and the Windows keyboard is Windows has a caps lock button. However, Chrome has replaced this with the search button. If you see the caps lock key will function as usual. If instead you have a Chromebook that has the search key, when you click on the search key, it will open up the search menu that we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. There are also a couple keyboard shortcuts it's helpful to be aware of. So this first keyboard shortcut here is how to turn on caps lock, since the caps lock key is missing on certain Chromebook devices. To turn on caps lock, you are going to hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and tap the search key, and that will turn on caps lock. If you hold down Alt and tap the search key again, that will turn it off. So it's a toggle on, toggle off functionality. If your instructor would like to turn in a screenshot of the work that you are doing, you'll hold down the Control key on your keyboard, and you will tap the key that looks like a screen sliding there to take a screenshot. If you would like to use your Chromebook in a different mode, you can rotate the screen there. You can always fix this as well. All you do is hold down the Control key and the Shift key, and then tap the rotate key seen there to rotate your screen 90 degrees with each tap. If you tap 4 times, that will rotate the screen back to its original orientation. If you would like a guide for all the other keyboard shortcuts that might be helpful, go ahead and press the Control key and the Alt key, press and hold those, and then tap the slash key as shown there on the keyboard to bring up a list of every other shortcut that you can use in Chrome. Once you sign into your Chromebook, a screen that looks like this is going to load up for you. And you'll notice you have a nice background image. It may or may not be different from mine, but it should be something very similar. And along the bottom of the screen here, you have what is called the shelf. And you're going to have some different icons on the shelf. Let's go ahead and work our way left from right to talk about our shelf. So on the left-hand side here, we see this little circle. This is the launcher that will open up a Google search the first time you click on it. So click on it here, and here we have a Google search. I can click in here and I can type the name of something and it will find different apps for me on my device. It will also find different things I've looked at in the past. And then finally, I could do a Google search online as well if I need to. I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. If I want to see all the applications that are installed on my device, I can use this little up arrow here, and this will bring up the application menu. So again, I clicked on the little circle here, I clicked the up arrow, and I can see all the applications here. To open a particular application, I can just click on it. If I would like to have the application show up here in the shelf down below, I can pin it to the shelf. So I'll just right click on a particular application, and that is a 2-finger tap for the right click, and I'll say pin to shelf. And that will put it in the shelf down here for me. To open up an item, I just click on it, and it will open up that item for me. To unpin something from the shelf, I can just come to the icon of the item I want to unpin, right click, or again, 2-finger tap on that item, and say unpin from the shelf, and that will take it off the shelf for me. Continuing on down the bar here, we have some other options. So we do have a red sign out button that will let us sign back out of the device if we need to. Additionally, we have this little toolbar here that tells us our current keyboard that we are on, how many notifications we have, our current Wi-Fi status, our current battery status, and the time. You'll notice if I hover over any of these, I get some additional information. For example, if I hover over the battery, I get told that I have about 45% or 2 hours left. If I click anywhere on this little oval here, this will open up some quick settings for me that I can explore. So I can, again, sign out here, or I could power off the device if I needed to. If I wanted to access additional device settings, I can use this gear icon here. And I have some other quick settings here, such as Wi-Fi. So if I need to change my Wi-Fi, I can click on my Wi-Fi. I can turn Bluetooth on and off. I can turn off notifications. I can change my keyboard if I need to switch to the Spanish keyboard for a certain class. And I can turn on a function called Night Light, which essentially makes my screen easier to read in the dark. I also have my volume slider here, so I can click and drag on this to adjust my volume. And I have a screen brightness slider here as well that I can again click and drag to adjust my screen brightness. I also get some additional information in this pop out here about the date and time, and again, how much I have left. Because this is a Chromebook, this is relatively easy to use. Most everything you're going to be doing is on the Google Chrome web browser, which should be pinned to your shelf right here. If it is not in your shelf, again, we can go into the menu, come up, find Google Chrome, right click on it and say pin to shelf if we need to. Once I click on Google Chrome, my school site homepage should load up and I can navigate to all the different materials I need for my coursework. Thank you for watching this quick video on how to use the Chrome operating system.